Hello world, in this video we will be making a logo in Gimp, the free open source photo editing program that you can download online. This will be a simple logo for our website we're making in the video tutorial series How to Make a Website in One Day on GoDaddy. So this is the logo we'll be making. And later in the tutorial series we'll change all of these colors and put some different backgrounds and textures in here that will match this logo. If you don't have Gimp, you need to navigate over to gimp.org, click on the download button, click on download, click Run, follow the instructions on your screen, and download and install the program. So let's get started. Click on Gimp to open it. Click on File, New. We want to make this pretty large, but we're going to scale it down later. If we make it big now and we scale it down smaller, it'll look more sharp. So let's make this 2000 by 1250. And we want to click on Advanced Options, Background Color, and fill with transparency. Click OK. So now we have our base image with transparency. So the next thing we're going to want to do is add some clip art. So I have some free clip art that I downloaded online, and you can find some that matches your niche. So go over to File, click Open, find where your clip art is, and we're going to start with the PC. And now what we're going to do is cut this clip art out so that it'll have a transparent background. So we'll go over and pick up the Select Color tool, and we're going to select this white. Now we're going to right click, go down to Layer, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. Now hit the Delete button on your keyboard. Okay, now I want to add some color to this. So we want to invert our selection. We had selected the white, but now we want to select the black. So we hit Control and I on the keyboard, and that inverts our selection. So now we want to shrink the selection. So go up here to Select, Shrink. Let's try 4 pixels. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we want to feather that selection. So go to Select, Feather, and let's feather it by half of the amount that we shrunk it. So let's do 2 pixels. Click OK. Now I'm going to fill it with the color that I have here. This is yellow. There's the HTML notation. So pick up the bucket tool and bucket fill. Now I'm going to select None. Okay, so next I want to fill in this computer screen here and kind of make it pop a little bit. So I'm going to grab my rectangle select tool. I'm going to click here and drag it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, get it pretty close, and you can adjust it a little bit. And we want it to fit these corners, so we're going to come up here and click on Rounded Corners, And you see how it put a radius on those corners. We want a little bit more though. About right there. Okay, now we're going to go back over and pick up our bucket tool. And change our colors back to black and white. So this will set our foreground color to black and our background color to white. If you ever want to flip those around, you just click this right here. So we want black. We've got our bucket tool, and we're going to fill this selection with black. Okay, now while we still have this selection going, we want to go over here and change our foreground and background color and select the gradient tool. We want foreground to transparent, and our shape set to radial. Grab it in the corner here and just pull it down a little bit, and then let go of the mouse, hit enter. Now let's go up here and hit select none. So I want it to pop a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is get the select by color tool, select this yellow, select shrink. Let's do 20 pixels. That looks pretty good. Now let's feather that selection by half, 10 pixels. We're going to grab the gradient tool again. Make sure the shape's still set at radial. Foreground to transparent is the gradient blend. And I have a yellow color over here I've selected. You can just kind of move this around until you find the color you want. So you can see how you get into the different colors. And grab it here in the corner and just drag it out in a diagonal, just like that, and then click enter. Now select none. Okay, so now we want to save our piece of clip art. So go over here to File. You don't want to click on Save, because what that will do is that will save it as an XCF file, which is a Gimp file, so that you can open it and modify it more in Gimp. We want to save it so it can be used on our logo. So what we're going to do is export as, and here you can export as JPG or whatever you need to do to use it on the web for Facebook or Instagram. But we want to save it as a PNG file so that we maintain our transparency behind it. So we're going to go ahead and export as, and that's what I already had it named, so we're just going to replace that. And over here we just want to make sure that we drop the compression level. And right here you can select what file you want to put it in. Then click export. And I already had it named as the same name, so we're just going to replace it. And move this compression level down to 0. And export. Okay, so we made it through that one. That was the hardest piece of clip art that we had to work on. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to come over here and File, Open, and we're going to pick up this hammer. Okay, so this one looks like it already has a transparent background, but just to be sure, we're going to and this one doesn't have a consistent background, so instead of selecting the background like we did on the PC, we're going to select the foreground, the hammer, the black part. So I've selected that. Now again we're going to go down to Layer, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. But this already has an alpha channel. It was already transparent in the background. So we're going to skip that. and we're going to come over here to select, shrink, see what 20 does. That looks okay. Now we're going to feather it. Feather by half, so 10. And we're going to get our yellow again and our bucket tool and fill our selection. And so let's add a little light reflection to it. Let's select again and shrink 20 pixels, and then we're going to select and feather again by half, 10. And again we're going to come over here and grab this yellow and our gradient tool, and again foreground to transparent, and the shape is radial. And we'll try it like right here. No, I don't like that, so I'm going to hit the escape key. Maybe about right here. Not really digging that either. So I'll grab it right here. And hit enter. And maybe right here. And hit enter. Now select none. Okay, so let's save this one. And this was already a PNG file, so we're just going to overwrite PNG. Okay, so next we're going to grab another piece of clip art. So we're going to File, Open, and we're going to grab this wrench right here and open. And this looks like the transparency that was over here, but this is just meant to imitate the transparency. So we are going to have to cut this wrench out. You can see it's much lighter than this one over here. So select by color, select, layer, transparency, add alpha channel. Now delete on your keyboard. Oops, wrong one. So Control Z to undo. We have to invert the selection. So Control and I to invert. Now hit delete. Alright, so now we have our transparent background. So now we're going to shrink our selection to put our yellow in. Shrink. See what 20 pixels does. Oops, we have to invert our selection again. So let's Control Z again and Control I to invert. Now let's select, shrink 20 pixels. It's too much. So Control Z again, select, shrink. Let's try 10. Okay, I like that. Now let's feather, and remember we're feathering by half of whatever we shrink, so 5 pixels. And now let's fill it with our yellow. And our bucket tool, and bucket fill. Okay, now let's put our little glare on it, so we're going to go select again, shrink, let's do by 10. And then select, feather by 5, grab our gradient tool, change our color to the brighter yellow, still have the same settings, grab it here, and maybe right here. Maybe right here. Hit enter. Now select none. Alright. So now let's save this one. File. This was a JPG, so we're going to have to export it as wrench.png. Because remember, PNG is what maintains our transparency in our picture. Export and export. Okay, one more piece of clip art to go. Alright, before we grab this next piece of clip art, I just want to say that your logo doesn't have to be this complicated. I just wanted to use this opportunity to show you how to use some of the tools in Gimp and show you how powerful of a program it is. It's a free program. There's no reason why you shouldn't download it and start using it. And be sure to check out my video on how to quickly edit your photos to make them pop. Okay, so moving right along, we'll go over here to File, Open. I'm going to grab this camera this time. Okay, so same thing, we're going to select, and let's select the black this time, and Control I to invert our selection. So now instead of the black being selected, the white is selected. Let's right click, go down to Layer, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel, and hit Delete. Okay, now let's invert our selection back to the black. So we're going to do Control I and select Shrink. See what 10 pixels does. That's about right. And then select Feather, 5 pixels. And we're going to grab our yellow again. And our bucket tool. And bucket fill. Alright, so now what I want to do with this is I want to fill this with black. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to grab this rectangle tool. Alright, now let's just save this one. So we're going to File, Export As. It's already named Camera, so we're just going to append a file name onto it, PNG, to maintain our transparency, and export. Okay. Alright, now we're ready to make our logo. So let's go ahead and close these. They just add extra weight to the program, and we have them saved. So we're going to be opening them here in this base image. So we're going to come over here and click Open as Layers, and we're going to find our clip art, the PNG. So we're going to go ahead and open camera, and we'll grab a move tool, just move this over for now. We're going to open as layers, and grab our wrench. Same thing, just move it over for right now. And File, Open as Layers, Hammer. Just keeping stuff out of the way for a minute. File, Open as Layers, and the PC. Okay, so now we need to scale these down some. So we're going to grab our scale tool. Okay, so we come over here and grab our text tool, and we make a text box here. We want it to be about the same size as our clip art is here. So we'll stretch it out right there, and we'll type our text in. Okay, so the text is there, it's just really tiny. So we're going to triple click inside of our box, 1, 2, 3, and then that highlights all of our text. Now we can make our text larger. So click bold to make our text bold, and now let's make it a little bit bigger. And we can make our letters a little closer together so that we can actually make our text a little bit bigger. Okay, so I lost part of my text down here because I made it too big. There it is. Alright, so now click enter. So now we're going to put a drop shadow on here. Let's come over to filters, light and shadow, drop shadow. Okay, so we want to get this a little closer, so let's make it darker so you can see it. I'm going to put our opacity about right there, and let's go down to 10, let's say 11 or 12, and click OK. Alright, so now we need to put our other little bit of text down here. So we're going to click on our text again, stretch out a little box, type our text in. Now do this all in capitals. Triple click in the box, make it grow, click on bold, and make our text as big as we can in this box. Oops. Stretch our box out a little bit. I'm going to keep it kind of in line with this other one up here. And pull it over this way. It's about right there. Triple click to highlight our text. Grow it a little more. Now let's spread this out. Alright, hit enter, and now let's put the drop shadow. So filters, light and shadow, drop shadow, and we're going to take this back down to 12 like we did the other one, and take this up to, I don't remember what it was, but if I go here, this was my last used one, so you can click there, and there you go. So we need to line this up a little bit. It looks a little off, so I'm going to grab my move tool and just move this over a little bit, and that's about right. So there are some things that you can do to make this much more precise, like using guidelines and things like that to line up your text and your clip art and all that. But just wanted to make this quick tutorial just to introduce you to it. So the next thing we want to do is we need to export this to make it one solid file. So we're going to call this my logo .png to maintain the transparency, and export. Okay, so now we're going to come over here and we're going to open it. It was my logo PNG, so we're going to open that. And now what we're going to do is scale this down a little bit, because right now it's huge, 2,000 pixels wide. That's wider than any screen or anything like that. So we're going to shrink this down, and actually I'm going to just do 325 by 125. And zoom in a little bit so I can see what I got here. So the size of your logo is not going to be super big, and you don't want to make it very large where it weights down your website when it's loading. So we don't want it to be much bigger. It's best for you to find out what your theme's recommended size is. For the theme I'm using, I think it's the, I haven't even looked, I believe it's the 2020 WordPress theme. It's got a square recommendation. I think it's 250 by 250 or something like that. But I don't really like that square look. I mean, you can make a logo like that. But I kind of like this longer look. You know, I can stretch it way out or whatever. So I think right now we're going to do 325 by 150. And enter and scale. Okay, so now we want to right click and go down to image and crop to content. Okay, so that takes all that other blank space away. So now we want to overwrite my logo PNG. Okay, so now your logo is saved on your computer. In the next video, I will show you how to upload it to your website. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned a little something. If you have any questions, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and then ask the question in the comments, and I'll answer it as best I can. Gimp is a funny program. Sometimes the tools don't work as expected. It's usually something you're doing wrong. You have one of the modes in the tool options selected wrong. Sometimes it can get frustrating. Maybe you need to just back up a few steps and start over, try to figure out what you're doing wrong. Click through the different modes on the tool options and see if it works better for you. So I'll see you in my next video.